Hello and welcome to Black Belt Nutrition. Today I'm going to rant a little bit about something that some people encourage you to do on a ketogenic diet, but it will totally destroy all your gains. And with gains, I mean weight loss. You will not lose any fat if you do this particular way of ketogenic diet. So if you're interested in that, stay tuned now. I will explain more about it. So my name is Patrick Dahlin. I'm a biochemist. I'm a former pharmaceutical researcher. I worked with elite athletes and weight loss, strength training, so on and so forth. And one of the things that have been a recurring theme is the ketogenic diet all the way back since the 90s. When I was myself competing, I often used it, but also other type of diets to lose weight. What has happened recently in the community is, as always, you want to maybe reinvent yourself or come up with new ideas or something to make it interesting, to keep it alive, so to say. And one of those new ideas that are promoted by surprisingly many people with some kind of medical degree is the cyclic ketogenic diet, where you do carb refeeds, perhaps every weekend. That will totally destroy your fat loss. And for me, I'm baffled that you even can suggest something like this. And there's two reasons for it. One is, if you suggest something, you need to at least have some kind of theoretical idea why it should work. And that theoretical idea they have is totally false, and I will explain some why. Secondly, ideally, there should be at least one study on the topic that shows what you're claiming to work. Or if there are no studies, you should be very clear about this. There is no studies. This is my own idea. I have this medical degree, but I actually know nothing about nutrition or biochemistry. That they should say, and then they could come up, present their ideas, in my mind. So, and there is studies on this topic. Okay. So, why wouldn't it work to a cyclic ketogenic diet? The idea is, the claim is that you then take the best of two worlds, the best of the keto world and the best of the carb world. The problem is, though, that when you go on a ketogenic diet, you eat very few carbs, like 20 grams or at least less than 50 grams. Let's assume you eat 20 grams of carbohydrates. And the body's need for carbohydrates is 120 grams. When you're on a ketogenic diet, most of those needs can be met by ketones. So 2/3 of the energy to the brain, for example, which is the main driver of glucose, can be met by ketones. That means there's just 40 grams left. And if you eat 20, 30, 40 grams, those needs are met. If you eat a little bit less, the body will produce its own glucose from protein. A process called glucogenesis, and that works fine. The issue here is that when you carb refeed every weekend for a day, it doesn't matter if you do a day or 2 days, you break the ketosis, and it takes, at least for beginners, a week or 2 weeks to get back in there. So what happens is that you try to go keto. You're not in ketosis yet, or maybe you are, doesn't matter. You do carb refeed. And then during the next week, you will eat 20 grams of carbohydrates. The body's need for carbohydrates is 120 grams. So there's a difference in 100 grams. Where would that come from? Protein. And you need at least 100 grams of protein to produce 100 grams of glucose. It depends on which amino acids you use. So let's say you're eating 120 grams of protein, which is quite not a small amount on a ketogenic diet. Many do less protein and much more fat. But let's say you do 120 grams of protein. 100 of those goes to be converted to glucose. It's just 20 grams left. That's not enough to sustain your body. So what happens is that the body will need to break down your muscle mass to feed the brain with glucose. And then after 1 week, when you're almost back in ketosis, you do a carb refeed again and destroy everything. So everything that will happen is that you're constantly breaking down protein to make glucose, and the body cannot afford to lose weight by burning fat because it has to first make sure that the brain gets what it needs, that's high priority, and it will get that from your muscle mass. So you just lose lean mass, muscle mass. It's totally stupid. So, and have this been studied? Yes, there are a few studies on it. And what do they show? Yeah, I have one example here. And as you can see, this study has been around for a few years, so I'm not really sure why people still claim that it's a good idea to do carb refeeds on a ketogenic diet. In this study, they compared a continuous ketogenic diet with a carb refeed ketogenic diet. During the ketogenic diet, they were eating 5% of the energy from carbohydrates, 25% from protein, and the remaining part from fat, 70% in this case. The carb refeed group, they did the same, but on the refeed days, they ate 50% of the energy from carbohydrates and still 25% of protein, and then the rest fat then. What was the outcome after 8 weeks? If you look at the ketogenic group that just did ketogenic, they lost 2.7 kilograms of fat mass, pure fat. They didn't lose any lean mass. That's excellent. Just losing fat, no lean mass. That is ideally what you want when you do a diet. The ketogenic refeed group that were refeeding with carbs every weekend, they lost 2.1 kilos of lean mass. They didn't lose any fat whatsoever, which is exactly what should happen according to the biochemistry I just described. But still, it's really good that someone has done this study because it puts it very black and white. It's not just a theory. It will simply not work. It will destroy everything you're looking for. Unless you're looking for losing muscles. I haven't met anyone who really have that as the main goal. So, yeah, it's just for me baffling how people can go around and promoting this. Is there a way to do it properly? Yes, maybe, but you can't refeed this often. We'll have to wait at least 2 weeks, maybe every month. Because ketogenic diet is a diet that have many advantages over other diets in effectiveness, and you lose fat mass and not lean mass, so on and so forth. But it has some disadvantages. And one is that you can't have cheat days. Then you destroy it. On other diets, you can have one cheat day a week and you only destroy that day. With ketogenic diet, you destroy the entire week afterwards. So that is on the drawback of the ketogenic diet. Also, it could potentially work better if you have been doing ketogenic diet for years. So all your enzymes during ketolysis and ketogenic breakdowns are ramped up. You're doing fasting ketogenic diet back and forth for years. Then when you do a carb refeed, and also if you will do a lower one, maybe not 50% carbohydrate, maybe 30%, so still kind of low carbish, then you will probably get back in ketosis in a few days. So the rest of the week you will still be in ketosis, and you will then switch over to burn your fat rather than your muscles. And I'm not sure if this is what some of those girls have done out there when they say it's a good idea to do it, or if they just throw things out without trying them, or they tried them and didn't understand they lost lean mass. I don't know. I just know that there is no theoretical reason why it should work. In fact, there's one why it shouldn't work. The few studies on it shows it doesn't work at all. So please don't do a carb refeed if you choose the ketogenic diet. Then you have to choose something else if you want to refeed every weekend. Yeah, so if you want more about, if you like this, please share, comment, ask questions, and like and subscribe, and see you soon again.